Good afternoon, Sheriff Bianco. Thank you so much for joining us at California Courier. Going to be talking about your race and your run for governor. First thing that I wanted to start off with, obviously you have a background in law enforcement and you've been strong on sanctuary issues within the state. What is your actual plan to roll back sanctuary policies as a governor and not get into those tit for tats on the legal side?
Yeah, it's going to be very, very easy because I'm going to be honest with the rest of the public, and the public is going to demand that we roll it back. Because the only thing, the things that you see on TV, the things that you're seeing, the clashes with ICE and everything else, those are only happening in sanctuary state cities and counties and states. So none of this happened before 2017 when California implemented sanctuary state and then everyone followed. The only reason we are having that is because the federal government has always enforced immigration. They have always deported criminals who end up in jail instead of releasing them back out into our communities to victimize us again. So what sanctuary state did is not allow me to allow that to happen. As just sheriff, I cannot allow them in the jails. So when someone is convicted of victimizing us and we let them go, ICE is forced to go into the neighborhoods, whether it's the place that they work or where they live, and go get them. If we would allow them to just go into the jails, none of this would be happening. This is really very, very simple. It's very, very easy. And unfortunately, it was done on purpose by Democrats in California, knowing what was going to happen because we told them it was going to happen. We told them that it was going to force ICE into our communities. It was going to force ICE into businesses. And that was something that they didn't want. But obviously, that is what they wanted. And when the general public realizes what sanctuary state really is, they're going to be livid.
And then you've also toured Skid Row and hit that issue very hard. What are your plans for the homelessness issues, especially in LA, all throughout the state? I mean, you constantly hear from Governor Newsom right now of this housing plan, but obviously down there, if you talk to people, they are saying that housing isn't just working. You have to have some type of address for mental issues.
Yeah, the real answer is this has absolutely nothing to do with housing. Absolutely nothing to do with housing. This was made for all of us to believe it was housing, so we would have an emotional attachment to somebody that didn't have a house. And oh my gosh, if we would just give them a house, they wouldn't have to live on the sidewalk. That's not the case. They don't want to live in the house. They think that they're okay living on the sidewalk because their drug and alcohol addiction and their mental health issues, or the combination of both. So the only reason why I'm going to end what we keep calling the homeless issue is because I actually care about them. I'm the only person, other than, well, I am the only person that has ever dealt with homeless issues, the people that we see on the street. I'm the only person that's ever dealt with this. Everyone else is a little talking head that is telling you what they think you want to hear, or these great plans that they think they're going to do, and they have no idea that they're actually dealing with people. I actually interact with the people. I care about them. I've had eye-to-eye conversations. I've watched them cry, tear up and cry while they're telling me what they would like or what they need or how I could help them. None of those other people, no one on this ballot has ever had that interaction with them. And I am going to fix what we're calling the homeless issue because I actually care about them. And I'm going to make sure we give them the help that they need.
What do some of those policies look like?
It means that every single dollar that is currently going to the homeless industrial complex is going to end. It's going to absolutely end. A fraction of the amount of that money is going to be used for mental health treatment, for drug and alcohol treatment, and then the biggest one is the combination of mental health and drug treatment, because those don't exist right now. By law, they cannot exist. This is a government-created industrial complex. They did it on purpose, and they set the stage for it to keep going. There is no end to this unless someone steps in and actually ends it. Before, in 2014, is when they made drugs legal. That's where the homeless issue spiked. It's always the same. All throughout history, the numbers just fluctuate. 2014 to 2026 is just like this. It's a straight uphill climb. 2014 was Prop 47 when they made drugs legal. Prop 57 came right after it when all crimes were pretty much legal, and it was created the revolving door in the criminal justice system. So you have to have enforcement. They're breaking the law with drugs. They're breaking the law with theft. They're breaking the law with even camping on the sidewalks. And when you enforce that, then you can force them into the treatment. And before Prop 47, it wasn't even forced. It was the option. You can either go to jail or you can get into rehab. And the majority of them picked rehab. That's what I want them to pick is rehab. I don't want them going to jail. It's too expensive in jail. There's too many other complications in jail. Let's get them into rehab so we can fix the addiction problems that they have and then get them back to the homes that they already had, the families that they already had. And then the law that I was talking about makes it illegal to treat mental health and drug addiction and alcohol addiction at the same time. So right now, say if I come across you and you're homeless and you're addicted to alcohol, you're just a complete alcoholic, you can't function, you need your alcohol, and you're living on Skid Row. And you say, I've hit rock bottom, I need help. So I pick you up, I take you to a facility that's going to treat your alcohol problem. And one of the questions they're going to ask you is, have you ever been treated for a mental health issue? And you say, yes, I was suicidal 4 years ago and I was treated for that. They kick you out the door because it's against the law to treat two things at the same time. It is asinine. It is absolutely asinine because we know they go together. I really don't care which came first, the drug and alcohol or the mental illness or the small mental illness that was exacerbated by the drug and alcohol. But we know they go together, and we are purposely not treating that part of it.
Yeah. I mean, kind of for all of these policies that you want to enact, what is your plan to kind of push back against the Democrats? I mean, something like this, like homelessness, should be a bipartisan issue. You had Michael Schellenberger give something along that idea of really addressing the mental health and addiction issues, and Democrats didn't want to pick it up. And so what is your plan to kind of combat that?
So they're not going to have a choice.
Okay.
And there's a lot going into this campaign where people are like, what are you going to do to work with them? And I'm doing nothing. I'm going to do nothing to work with them. They created this problem. Why would I work with them? They better figure out very, very fast how they're going to work with me to fix it because they created it. And I'm going to expose them if they're not going to work on the solution. I've already promised every person in the major media in Sacramento, every Friday, I will be on the steps of the Capitol reporting who did what the week before. These are the people that were helping try and end the homeless situation. These are the ones that were obstructing because they want those money going to those people that support their candidacy for the next election. I'm going to expose all of them. The elected, there's only 120 people that are destroying this state. And they are in Sacramento right now. And I'm going to expose every single one of them that truly doesn't want to help. And you are going to have the opportunity every 2 years to get rid of them. Sacramento has been operating under the cover of darkness for decades. And we find out all of these issues that happen, these laws that were passed, and we're like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? It's like, well, that happened 10 years ago. You just weren't paying attention or the media wasn't reporting it. And so now we're finding out this didn't happen yesterday. And it has to stop though. And we have to start exposing it for what it really is. My entire success as the Riverside County Sheriff is because of transparency. People are trying to label me now as not, but the reality is that's why I'm successful. In a blue county, a very, very Republican, very red person, I am Republican to the core. According to Democrat polls, I'm the most popular elected official in Riverside County history. That's not because I'm a Democrat. It's not because I'm a Republican. It's because I am transparent, I'm honest, I have integrity, and I do exactly what I say I'm going to do for the betterment of Riverside County. And it's going to be the same way in Sacramento.
Pivoting a little bit and talking about popularity and polls as well. You know, Steve Hilton, which you're going to be sitting with him on a panel soon, he really started to go after you after that first debate where you weren't there. You had the call out of him saying that you were a rhino, that you had that viral moment with the BLM video. What is your address to him as he's trying to decipher the distinctions between you two?
Yeah, he's as someone else or what he is trying to. I mean, Steve Hilton is an absolute fraud. Steve isn't even a Republican. Steve made himself the Prime Minister of England after they left said that Steve Hilton turned the Conservative Party green. It was his doing. And Steve Hilton, and that's the Prime Minister's words, Steve Hilton will change for whatever benefits Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton came to America, his first job was starting a fundraising company for Democrats. He is proud. It's all over the internet now if you just look. But he is proud that his company raised money so a group of individuals in Washington, D.C. could form a training camp to fight the Trump regime in 2016. That's his words. And now all of a sudden he's a Republican because he's a Fox News host and to be honest with you, the people who are in this building, the older people that just are obsessed with Fox News, and now he's this bright, shiny object from Fox News, they have no idea who he is. He's not even a Republican. And Steve is a liar. Steve came after me because and he knows the absolute truth. He knows that I'm not for amnesty. He knows that I never knelt for BLM. He knows that factually I was the first law enforcement leader in the entire country to stand up against them with overwhelming force. I was the first person to not have riots. I was the first person to end our riots. No damage, no injuries, no nothing, and they've never come back. Steve knows that, but his campaign was failing, and it was failing against another Republican. If he would have been happy with California winning, he would have just let things keep going. I would have won. 2 Republicans would have went to November, but it wasn't him, and he's in it for himself. So he had to attack me. It's bad politics 101. If you are losing, you have to attack your opponent. And that's what he chose to do. You had 2 Republicans at the top of these polls and the Democrats down here, and he chose to go after the other Republican because his internal polls showed that he has no chance of beating me in a general election.
Is that your warning to the voters that support him?
It's not a warning. Honestly, I don't care. Yeah, I mean, if California is not going to wisen up, if we're not going to vote for men of character, integrity, and leadership, if we're going to vote for bright, shiny objects continually, then we'll have another Gavin Newsom in the governor's mansion. Until you stop voting for these career politicians, and that's all Steve is. He claims he's a businessman. Where's his business? Where's his business? No one knows of any business that he's ever had other than the fundraising machine for the Democrat Party. He raised money for Bernie Sanders. He raised money for Hillary Clinton. He said he's further left than Bernie Sanders. Those are his words. Those are not my words. And we are all just, oh, Fox News, Fox News. It blows me away. Blows me away.
Touching on one of the hot spots that he called out, which was the amnesty thing. I watched both of those interviews that you did and wanted to give you the chance to clear the air on what your stance is on immigration and how Republicans at the time were concerned with the fact that you would let a bunch of illegals come in and stay in the state.
Yeah, so that's not the context of that interview, not even close. So if no one that comes here illegally it's never King's X. You don't get to come into this country and King's X, I made it, and now I'm good. I am the law and order candidate. There will never be amnesty. And when I'm president, there will still never be amnesty, and the president is the only one that can do that. The governor cannot grant amnesty to illegal aliens. It's only the federal government. The governor has absolutely no say-so in immigration policy. None. The only thing I can do as governor is make sure that ICE comes into the jails where it's safe to deport them instead of going out into the community. I can facilitate that. But immigration policy, the governor can do absolutely nothing. Personally, completely against any form of amnesty. You are not going to break the law and then we're going to say, okay, well, you did it, but oh well.
Yeah.
That was a year ago. Because when we do that, when do we do it for theft? When do we do it for murder? Do we say, well, it was murder, but we didn't catch you in the first year, so it's okay, you get away? No. We live in a civilized society with an adherence to law, and you're going to adhere to the law. Every person who came here illegally knew that there was a consequence of being caught. And the consequence of being caught is you probably are going to get deported. And that's the federal government's role. It's not the state government's role. So I am 100% against amnesty. The issue that I have that gets convoluted because of dishonest people like Steve is there is no place for a frontline law enforcement officer to be concerned with illegal immigration. We never have been. I was that frontline officer. Never once did I ever ask anybody if they're in this country legally. I ask, are you a victim or are you a suspect? If you're a victim, I'm going to help you. If you're the suspect, you're going to jail. That's what local law enforcement is supposed to be. And I don't want to get too personal, but this is a worst case scenario. If the immigrant community, especially the illegal immigrant community, is afraid of law enforcement, now I have a 14-year-old girl who is repeatedly being raped, and she is being threatened with deportation or her family being deported if she reports it. Do I want that to happen? Or do I want that little girl to be confident walking up to a deputy knowing that we're going to help her? That's what I want. That's the California I want. The federal government should worry about immigration. The federal government has broken immigration and they've used it politically against us for decades, and we should be demanding that they fix it. Locally, I have nothing to do with it. I will do everything in my power, not just as the sheriff, what I currently do, but as the governor of California to make sure that I protect Californians.
Going back a little bit, did I hear you say that you were going to run for president?
No,
Is
I
that
said when I'm
when
president.
Oh, okay.
If. The only person that can fix that is the president and
Yeah.
Congress. It's not the governor.
Yeah. And then in one of those interviews about illegal immigration, there was some talk of support about working towards
Yeah,
a legal
so what I
status.
said was a pathway to citizenship.
Yes.
So I have friends, which is ironic because what did Steve do? How in God's green earth did Steve get his pathway to citizenship that fast during the Biden administration? I have friends that have been trying for decades here legally to become U.S. citizens and they can't do it. How did he do it that fast? He had his little pathway to citizenship. He doesn't want anybody talking about that. He doesn't want to talk about that because he's the political elite, multi-mega millionaire that just bought his way in, and it's okay for him, but it's not okay for anybody else. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. If I had my way, every single tax person in the federal government would be eliminated and we'll put them on immigration. And all of these immigration applications that are pending, fix those. We don't need any more people coming after us for more tax money. Fix the broken immigration system. That's what we need. We absolutely must. We must have immigration in this country. We have always relied on immigration, but it has to be legal. And if we are going to break the system in the federal government and make it to where we can't even get the legal immigration taken care of, so we're bringing people into the country that are helping, how are you supposed to fix the broken part of it? It makes absolutely no sense. But that's not the governor of California's responsibility. I'll be loud demanding that they fix it because it's harming my state, but the governor can do absolutely nothing about it. We absolutely must secure our borders. Criminals have to be gone. The people who are here illegally, I'm not saying we're going to hunt you down, but chances are you're going to get caught, and that's the federal government's role. If they catch you, you knew that was the possibility. Outside of that, if you're here legally and you want to be a U.S. citizen and you're doing everything right, we should be making that process relatively easy.
Are you hearing support on the ground for that pathway?
That is exactly what people want to hear. That is exactly that's what illegals want to hear. That's what my grandkids' other part of the family who isn't U.S. citizens, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear exactly what I'm saying because it's common sense. I'm not saying anything other than what's common sense.
Yeah. And then moving on to also talking about the state and its concerns, one of it is water and agriculture. I'm sure you've been up to the Central Valley quite a few times. What is your 4-year plan to lock in reliable water for the Central Valley, as the farmers have spoken out quite a few times over the last couple of years about the dire need to fix that issue?
This is the most common sense. So this is the most common sense issue we even have in California. If you want to save water, you save water. If you want more water, you save what water you have, and then you ration that out to make sure we have it. Currently, 70% of the water that falls, rain and snow every single year, is purposely routed straight to the ocean. So we can't use it. This is a complete government control of water. This is the government controlling the ag industry, the government controlling the building industry by telling them that we have a water shortage. We don't. We're going to build dams all across this state to save the water that we get every year, and we are going to make sure that the farming community, the ag community, the ranching community has 100% of the water that they need for their crops. When they all get that, the water doesn't stay in a crop. It sinks down into the ground, fills the aquifers that we already have that are being depleted on purpose. It fills those back up, and then now we have drinking water. We route the massive amounts of water that we have from Northern California down to Southern California, our biggest cities, and we make sure that we have all the water that we need. And why are we forgetting that from Mexico to Oregon we have water? The Middle East doesn't have a drought problem. They're surrounded with ocean too. They get 0 rain per year. But none of them are crying drought because they just take the salt out of the water and use the water. This is so easy. as soon as you realize it's government created.
Is there any address? I just went up to the Central Valley, and one of the issues that they spoke about was the Endangered Species Act. Is there any address on policies like that?
It's got to go. Special interests are destroying California. There is what are we actually as Californians going to say that a fairy shrimp is more important than your kids? It's more important than your parents? It's more important than you? We don't care about your life. You can die from lack of water because we have to save that fairy shrimp, or we have to save that weed that nobody's ever seen and nobody really even cares about. And why do we care about it? We need water so we can survive. We have been hijacked over a period of decades. It was slow. It was death by slow cuts, many cuts. And we've now reached the end of now it's just ridiculous. And we have to take this state back from special interests. Special interests, from environmental activism, from attorneys, we have to take the state back. And the majority of all of our issues are regulatory in those boards, in those commissions, the CEQAs, the California Coastal Commissions, those are all going away. CARB, all going away. We will abide by the same rules that the rest of the country abides by. We have plenty of rules to make sure we save the environment, to make sure we protect it, make sure we protect people. Plenty of rules. We're not having those rules on steroids just for Californians because that's what's destroying California.
Speaking of special interests, one of the hot topics for California constantly has been gas prices. We have had this gas tax that no one can really figure out or explain
because you're being lied to.
Where it goes to. So can you
61% of it we know is a tax, or 61 cents is an actual tax. But the problem with what the other $1.80 is, or at least it's between $1.20 and $1.60, we can't figure out what it is because no one is being honest about telling us. It's close to $2. That's why we have $2 more gas than Nevada and Arizona when we supply them their gas. How do we make their gas? And we make Arizona and Nevada's gas. And then we ship it to them. And somehow, by crossing the state line, it's $2 cheaper per gallon. It's because California is forcing our gas prices up. They don't want Californians to drive gas cars. They want you to buy electric. So they're making it too expensive for you to have your gas car. It's all by design, and we absolutely have to take it away. They figured out a long time ago that we were tired of taxes, and we made it too difficult for them to pass taxes. It takes 2/3 of a vote, and they're going to have to be on record saying, I want to increase your taxes. They don't want to do that. So they found a loophole through the regulatory process that they just keep raising fees. So you're only paying 61-cent tax, but the rest of it is fees that they can increase anytime they want. Those are taken away. I will take those away on day one.
What is your message, though, to Democrats and independents within the state that, are suffering from these top issues like homelessness, gas, crime, any of it, that, are wary of a Republican entering office?
So you're wary of something that you really know nothing about. You're wary of the boogeyman. You've been threatened of the boogeyman. Don't look under your bed because the boogeyman is there. That's what you've been taught to believe forever. I'm the furthest thing from the boogeyman. My entire adult existence is making sure that I sacrifice myself to make other people's lives better. The American Independent Party has already endorsed me in this campaign because they know I'm working for Californians. I'm not working for the Republican Party. I'm a Republican and you can never change me. I'm never going to change my views and be a progressive leftist. Ever. But that doesn't mean I'm going to jump up and down and scream and yell and celebrate because I turned this state red. Because half of the state is not. I'm doing this for the entire state, and it's for Californians. I'm not doing it for the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, the Independent Party, or anybody else. It's for Californians. And that's why people are flocking. Democrats are flocking to my campaign because they know I'm going to be doing things for them, not for a political party, a political ideology, or anything else.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for talking with us.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.